Welcome, everyone, to this special seminar, Voices of Strength, Health Stories. I'm your host, Troy Campbell, and I'm honored to be here, surrounded by a community that exemplifies resilience, courage, and hope. Before we begin sharing the powerful cancer stories that have brought us together, I want to share a personal story that taught me about finding strength in the face of pain. Some years ago, I experienced one of the darkest moments in my life. I was living far from my family, grappling with unresolved immigration challenges, bills that seemed never ending, and a deep loneliness that weighed heavily on me. During this time, my uncle passed away suddenly from a heart attack. It felt like the world I had carefully pieced together was crumbling, leaving me lost in grief and despair. At my lowest point, I stumbled upon a spiritual book gifted to me years earlier. Its words became a lifeline, teaching me how to claim the promises of God. I started annotating the book, replacing the pronouns with my name. Troy, nothing, neither life nor death, angels nor demons, no power or living creature can separate us from the love of Christ. Troy, you know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his promises. Troy, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Troy, be confident of this, that he who has begun a good work in you will continue to perfect and complete it until the day of Christ Jesus. You know, reading these words brought me to a place of comfort. I found Jesus in my story. I found that my story belonged in a meta-narrative that's God's. I found comfort and peace in my experience and hope for tomorrow. You see, it was through these transformative moments that I realized God is in my story. And not just that my story matters. Your story, my friends, matters. Your story matters too. All of our narratives are beautifully woven into the grand design, a story of redemption, hope, and victory. Today, we come together to honor these narratives, for our stories are his story, and in him we find strength, purpose, and triumph. I want to give you a sense of direction of where we're going with today's seminar. If you're like me, I like to know where I'm going. So first, we are going to speak with our Tracia Williams is going to first speak and tell us her story. Tracia is a breast cancer survivor, right? And she has a lot to tell us today. And then afterwards, we'll have a conversation with mom, Theresa Williams. Tricia's mom joins us for a heartfelt conversation about supporting her daughter while grieving the loss of her husband. Then we'll have a breakout session where we'll get to dive into a dynamic discussion and connect with others. We also have a healthy food spotlight. Afterwards, we'll come back for open mic stories, stories. So I'm happy you're with us this evening, and we are going to go forward with the program. So thank you for being part of this space where vulnerability meets victory. And together we celebrate the strength within us all. All right. I want to first take the chance or the opportunity to introduce my dear friend Tracia Williams and her mom Teresa Williams. They are my church sister, for full church sisters for full disclosure. And as I said earlier, Tracia has been struggling or is now a survivor of breast cancer. That's just a tip of what you have to share with us. I'm going to give you the mic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tracia Williams, and I'm giving my testimony. First, I want to apologize. I have my notes here. I have chemo brain, so please forgive me. I'm giving my testimony because it's an opportunity to share the goodness of God and to take you on a journey that I am still traveling on. But first, I want to thank Elder Throy Campbell for this opportunity to share my story. I have been tried in the fire, and here is my testimony. God has always had an impact on my life, and He has been very gracious to me my whole life. From the day I was born, I've been going through a battle with my health. I was born with spina bifida and had my first surgery the day I was born. Spina bifida is a birth defect that occurs when the neural tube does not close properly during pregnancy. It is a tube-like shaped structure that forms in an embryo and develops into the brain and spinal cord. The upper part of the neural tube, the upper part of the neural tube helps to form the brain and skull. The lower part of the neural tube helps form the spinal cord and backbones. There are cases mild to severe that causes a lot of nerve damage and a host of other complications and disabilities. I am somewhere in the middle. You can never be prepared for what may come in your life. Sometimes, despite overwhelming fear and uncertainty, the devil may throw at you. In 2021, I lost my father to gastric stomach cancer due to a botched childhood surgery. And in 2022, I myself developed breast cancer. But I was not officially diagnosed until March of 2023. I have had multiple surgeries due to my spina bifida, then a double mastectomy and reconstructive surgery. I was under anesthesia for 17 hours on September of 2023. I grew up in a Christian family and was surrounded by God and the church. From the beginning of my life, but a turning point for me in my life was when I had to learn what it means to really trust in God. I learned depression and anxiety are faith killers and are not from God. I became one of the worst fears. I have a fear of needles, and I became a pincushion. But through all the pain, struggles, and grief, the Lord has been with me through it all, and He continues to be with me. I was first misdiagnosed and told it was a cyst. It would go away in time. About a month later, I went back to the doctor because I felt it growing and getting more painful and very uncomfortable. The doctor said, "This is no cyst. I want you to see a surgeon." So there I was, all of a sudden, scheduled to see a multitude of different doctors and specialists. Meanwhile, I had multiple mammograms and multiple biopsies. One of the radiologists said, It looks to be malignant. And when she said that, fear came over me and tears started flowing from my eyes. But she wanted even more testing to confirm her cancer diagnosis. My surgeon said breast cancer does not typically cause pain, which I was having a lot of. Meanwhile, again, I went through more testing. One day, God told me to look up the least deadliest breast cancer, and ductal carcinoma popped up. Then God said, now look up stage 1. I had all of the symptoms of ductal carcinoma. My nurse called a week later, and on the report, she confirmed just what I had already knew. It was ductal carcinoma cancer. They asked me to come into the office the very next day, but all night long, my mind was working. What are they going to tell me? What do I have to do next? Do I really have cancer? As you know, Satan attacks the mind, but God kept giving me strength and putting a smile on my face, in spite of all what was going on. My recovery journey will always be ongoing, leaning on God for hope, peace, faith, and a positive mindset, along with sheer determination that I will be all right. I have battled mentally and emotionally while staying optimistic only through God, because He gives me strength to look at my challenges with resilience and perseverance. This helps me to stay motivated, focused, and hopeful. With this mindset, it has made an overall positive impact on my well-being and recovery. No matter what you're going through, God is already there waiting for you. Ask Him to carry you through. When you pray and ask with faith, remember that faith is in the Word of God. He says to ask in Jesus' name, John 14, verse 12 through 14. He has His hand stretched out, waiting for you to grab hold of His hand. Your hand may slip from time to time, but grab hold again and don't let go. He will not let go of yours. I went through an intense chemotherapy program, but on December 30th of 2024, I had the privilege to ring the bell. And now for 5 years, I need to go through hormone therapy. I am still on my journey. I want you all to know God is bigger than any disability or pain. Love Him and appreciate Him and all His blessings. Trust Him for the rest of your journey. He puts the rainbow at the end of the hardest trials. So where do you go when you can't fix your life? Well, the only place you should go is back to the one who created you. Amen, everybody? 1 Corinthians 16, verse 11 says, seek the Lord and His strength. Seek His face continually, and I encourage you all to do just that. Seek His face every day. He is the only one that will carry you through. Ask Him to give you strength for today, and then tomorrow, ask Him again. He is the only one that will be by your side through every trial you will ever face, and He is the only one you can 100% count on. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracia, for sharing your story.
Thank you.
It's more difficult than what we think, right? It's more
Yes.
difficult than what we think, but you got through it, and we appreciate all that which you've shared, and the many who appreciates it, because it resonates with so many aspects of our lives, We invited your mom here, and it's not just symbolic. It's what has happened over the last umpteen years, right? Where
Yes.
mom was always by Trisha's side, and You know, your story is so much more too, because your dad passed from cancer,
Yeah.
right? And Mom Teresa, Sister Williams, you we appreciate what you've been doing for your daughter, and it must have been a difficult road, and so we appreciate you for being with her along the road, and being here with her today. And her story is your story. You've helped her story, help her along the path. And we thought it was important for you to join us in today's conversation, right? And I have just a few questions. I know it's not easy to share. And again, we thank you for being vulnerable. You know, the role of a caregiver. The caregiver needs care also, and it's not an easy role to play. But what lessons did you learn while being a caregiver to your husband and to your daughter?
You're right, it's not easy. But, well, I have to say that the first thing I had to do was to feed my faith and starve my doubts, because you have to starve your doubts to death. In other words, I had a strong husband, and after being diagnosed, he said, I don't want any negativity in my life because I believe God can deliver me. And if he so chooses, whatever his will is, I am content with that. And so for me, that was hard. And I felt like I was riding on a bicycle, if you will, pedaling as fast as I could, because I was so exhausted and I couldn't stop. I was just on this bicycle riding and pedaling as fast as I could. I just couldn't stop. Because to keep your balance when you're on a bicycle, you have to keep moving, right? So I was doing anything and everything to keep busy because I didn't know what to think, and I didn't want to think too hard or too much. And I didn't want to allow myself to be negative or depressed. And so it was a trying time. But with the faith in God, I kept going, and it got a little easier as time went on. You see, knowing God's promises up in your, well, let's say up in your head, knowing his promises is entirely different from experiencing his promises in a whole different, it's a whole different ball game when you experience it versus just knowing it or thinking it. Peace is essential in your life, and anxiety is the absence of peace. But God will give you peace if you ask for it. But if you doubt, even for a little bit, the enemy will come along and snatch that peace away from you and cause despair. You have to shift your thoughts around. I remember Joshua 1:9, and it's one of my favorite texts. But I put my name in there. Teresa, be strong. Teresa, be of good courage. Don't be afraid, nor be dismayed. My God is with me wherever I go. And then I said, in whatever I do also. So whatever the outcome, God is in control. And when my daughter was diagnosed, I was much calmer then. And then all I could say was, okay, Lord, here we go again. But I thank you, dear Lord God, for giving me peace in advance, because I'm going to need it again. And so there we went again. Mm-hmm.
You said so many things. You know, faith quiets doubt. That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so who took care of you, Teresa?
One person, my God,
Amen.
because I couldn't have made it through without him. And I relied on him every day.
Yeah.
So,
Tricia, can you recall those times when mom was there alone with God taking care, you know?
Well, other than my father, my mother is one of the strongest people I know.
Mhm.
And she and my father always instilled it in me to always pray and always trust in God. And she, through my cancer diagnosis and through my father's cancer diagnosis, she had to, I would say, it helped her to pray more and helped her to trust in God more. And it really, in a way, it woke us up and helped us. It helped us with our spirituality.
It's true. Illness has a way to make God be priority in our life, right? Top
Number
priority.
one.
Number one. It takes away the things because you are now thinking of one, your mortality, two, where do we get healing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I can just, it's, you have those who feels it, knows it. And there's some in the audience who can testify of this, right? Uh, any help from, what was your support system like? How should I say, were there particular organizations, Teresa, that you called on or were there to help you along the way?
well, yes. You know, sometimes what we want most is simply the assurance that everything is going to be okay, because your spirit longs for a guarantee that you will make it through the challenges and that all is well. But I want to tell you that not only will you endure this trial, but you will emerge from it more of a conqueror. You will survive this and you will draw closer to God in your relationship with Him. My church family and their prayers played a significant role in our journey. Friends and family as well. It is so important to seek support. Don't try to do this alone. Number one, let me just say a few things here. Number one, communicate and ask questions. Number two, connect with supportive people you trust. Number three, practice gratitude. I always say, thank you for what you have. Thank God, in other words, thank God for what you have and trust God for what you need. Focus on the present instead of worrying about the future. Remember that seeking support is a sign of strength, not weaknesses.
Seeking support is a sign of strength, not weaknesses. And Tricia, you can speak to that.
Yes.
Sometimes when you're in a distressed position, you tend to go in your own corner
Yes.
and not seek support. But you
Right.
need to seek support.
Right. And my church family has been a big supporter, especially Stacey Edwards. She has been my mentor. I call her my mentor because she had the same cancer I had, and she was the one my mother and I both went to. Okay, what do we expect? What treatment needs to be done, and what just asking her questions because she knew all the answers, and she was a big help to both of us.
I happen to know Stacey Edwards. She's a 3-time cancer survivor.
Yes.
And so she knows the path. And she turned to be your mentor, your own navigator.
Yes.
Your own navigator. Right. And I imagine how important it is to have a support system, have and faith, fellow believers is so important.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So important. Can you recall Teresa at that time and Stacy and others you said were there for you, and how good was
Yes,
that?
I definitely can recall that time. We flooded her with questions, actually.
Yeah.
And besides, research and, and prayer and You know, all those things are helpful when you're going through something that's kind of traumatic. And she was a blessing to us. The church family consistently prayed for her, prayed for my husband, and we just knew and we felt the presence of God in our walk every day, every day.
In my church family, our Pastor
Was one.
Pastor Wazwa,
Yeah.
and he laid hands, the whole church family, they laid hands on me. They prayed over my father. They anointed us both. And it was a blessing. My church family is a blessing, and I'm grateful the Lord put us here.
Nice. Teresa, another question. You know, what and this is a given. What encouragement do you have for caregivers, for cancer survivors, you know, out there who might have who are traveling the same path or who might someday travel this path?
Well, in a sermon yesterday, we learned to keep pressing on. Don't shut God out of your life. You need Him more than ever. He is your biggest support team, and He will see you through. He loves you, and He wants the best for you. I want to read you something briefly that gives me strength every day I read it. And it's by my favorite author and prophetess of God, Ellen G. White, from the Review and Herald publication dated October 7th, 1865. And I keep this on my desk just to read it often for encouragement. So I like to share it with you. It says, prayer is the answer to every problem in life. It puts us in tune with divine wisdom, which knows how to adjust everything perfectly. We often do not pray in certain situations because, from our standpoint, the outlook seems hopeless. But nothing is impossible with God. Nothing is so entangled that it cannot be remedied. No human relation is too strained for God to bring about reconciliation and understanding. No habit is so deeply rooted that it cannot be overcome. No one is so weak that he cannot be strong. No one is so ill that he cannot be healed. No mind is so dull that it cannot be made brilliant. And whatsoever we need or desire, if we trust God, He will supply it. If anything is causing worry and anxiety, let us stop rehearsing the difficulty and trust God's healing, His love, and His power. Amen.
Thank you for sharing that. It's clear you're a spiritual person, and your faith plays a role in your journey, in the challenges that you face. Right, Trisha, I must ask
Yes.
about your dad.
Yes.
You know, and you and I are friends, and you talk about your dad all the time.
Yeah.
He was an author.
Yes.
He had a podcast.
Yes, he did.
You know, and so tell us about that.
Well, my father's podcast is called, forgot what it's called.
Blame chemo.
Yes, Chemo Brain.
Okay. We'll get to that.
Okay.
I promise to add it in the show notes so the
Okay.
audience can go and find it. All
Okay,
right?
Chemo Brain is real, everybody. But yeah, so I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, just to talk about your dad. He was an author, and as you said, he had a podcast. So we wanted to give you a chance to reflect on that. And you have a copy of his book here.
Yes, my father wrote a book called The Enemies Pray, and it's available on Amazon. I don't know if the camera can see this, but he wrote this book a few years ago, and his goal was to get as many people as he could to make it into the kingdom.
Yeah.
And this book will actually help you get your life right with God.
Right.
It'll help you to actually think about, okay, I really need to get my life in order so I can get my life right with God.
So he
So
left a legacy.
He did. He
He
left a
did.
big legacy, and his
Yes.
plan was to write a second book, but that was a sequel to this book.
Okay.
But that didn't.
Perhaps that's your challenge to write.
He did
Boy.
start notes on it.
He did start notes, and I would ask him, "What's this?" After I read this book, I asked him, "What's the sequel to the second book?" And he said, "You'll see."
The thing
He wouldn't
about
tell
this
me.
book is you cannot read the ending before you read the rest of the book because no one can guess the ending.
It's a real eye opener.
Right.
Really eye opener.
You know, I know you were Daddy's daughter.
Daddy's little girl.
Daddy's little girl. Obviously, Daddy's daughter, but Daddy's girl. You
You're
know,
right.
we have Daddy's daughters out there, but Daddy's girl is a little bit, affectionate, a little bit
Right.
different. You were the special person to your dad, and we thank you both for being vulnerable, for opening up to the public and sharing your stories, and it helps. I believe it's therapeutic, and we're helping others as we share what the path that God has taken us. And clearly, He is in your story and He's directed your story. Any final thoughts before we close?
Just remember to take God with you wherever you go. Nothing is too big for Him to handle. We just have to learn to put our trust in His hands, because I didn't know that I would make it through. But when I look back and realize all the challenges through it all, God was the one that pulled me through, because I never would have made it without Him. And those prayers sent up to God really works. I want you to know prayer works. And God is with us. He strengthens us every day. And one other thing I want to mention, my entire adult life was with my husband. We were together since I was a child. So what was challenging most for me was learning to navigate through life without him, because it was my first time since 2021. I've been navigating my life without him, by myself. We did everything as a team. We made all decisions as a team. And so this was a new challenge for me. But I have to give credit to God again, because He is what pulled me through. And I can confidently say, I'm going to be all right.
What I want to tell everybody here and in the audience, that God is bigger than any disability and bigger than any disease. I actually thank the Lord for allowing him to for me to have cancer. He did not cause it, but he allowed it to happen for a reason. And it's to help others to go through what I'm going through, and to help them spiritually. And I could not have done it without having that cancer diagnosis. So I am grateful that I went through what I went through. And I just thank the Lord, and I thank the opportunity to share my testimony, and this will not be my last. That's my story is still being written, like I said.
For sure. And we thank you. We thank you, Tracia, and thank you, Teresa, for being vulnerable. You're two towers of strength. And
Thank you.
Yes, I
And Pastor
appreciate it.
Wazwa and my other pastor, I forgot his name. I said chemo brain. Pastor Harris.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Pastor
Pastor Sean Harris. Yes. All right. Thank you, and thank you out there in the audience here with us, and those of you who are online. We appreciate what you have shared, and again, we know it will help us all along the way. We're going to transition now. We have, for those of you who are online, we have a documentary. As you know, we have a live podcast where we talk to cancer survivors. And from a series of conversations, we pulled pieces together into a 22 minutes long documentary. We're going to go to that now online, while we who are here in person will continue our conversation.
Dealing with a life threatening illness can be very daunting and challenging for so many individuals. And caring for those who are going through this health situation can be daunting too. I can't imagine how hard it must be for those who are dealing with cancer. We've just heard Tracia's story and Teresa's caring for her husband, how challenging that was. And I just imagine that diet is impacted or appetite is impacted. And what do you eat? Finding something comforting that one can eat during this time is so important. And so we are here right at this table with Sister Stacy, and she will be demonstrating for us as a part of the Cultivate Health Narrative story initiative, simple things that you can do, healing foods, very, very simple, nourishing things that you can do as you deal with this challenging life situation. So, Stacy, help us to understand what you are doing today and how that can be of benefit to all the individuals here who are struggling.
Well, thank you. I want to say that we're doing a basic smoothie. In this packet, we have pineapple, strawberries, peaches, and mangoes. And as you know, it's based on your choice. I mean, anything you like, anything that you can tolerate at the time. And we know that between chemotherapy and other therapies that you're going through, sometimes fruit might not be the thing that you want to have. But when you get to the place where you can have, fruit juices or smoothies, this is very comforting to have. You can also add like chia seeds to this. You can add hemp seeds for added protein. And some people have trouble with the toilet. The chia seeds are very good, or flax seeds to help with that. Also, you can drop a prune or two if there's constipation in there. And if not, you just leave the prunes out. But you just add whatever fruit you want. I'm making a big batch today, so I have like 4 cups of milk and 2 pounds of frozen fruit. And so we're just going to blend that up, and then we take a take.
Awesome. This is always important. Are you excited about this? Awesome, awesome. And I believe that when individuals are struggling with major life changes, it's important that we take care of diet. Diet is important as you're navigating the struggles of a life threatening condition. And so I think something as simple as this can be comforting. And while your appetite might not be great, it will be something that can help you to manage. So she is basically just blending the mixed fruit here, which will make a nice colorful smoothie, and it will be of great benefit to your body and to your health. Now, I'm someone who has experienced firsthand with my sister, Dr. Viv, going through this kind of situation, and I know how difficult it is when there is no appetite, no desire, nothing. Uh, but we are thankful that there are simple things that can be done that can be of benefit to all. So here we go. We're blending all this together. So it's all colorful and it has come together nicely. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I want to taste it. Anybody wants to taste it with me? Yeah, we could all taste this. I see some individuals coming on, and here's a little man here. And here comes Dr. Campbell. Dr. Campbell, this is a huge part of the whole story experience because food is a crucial part of how people really deal with challenging moments. And as they share their story and as they're going through challenging times, especially a debilitating condition like cancer, they need that comfort and support.
You know, food is therapeutic.
Yes.
And people tend to, when they're mourning or when they're struggling, or if you lost a loved one, just go eat.
Mhm.
But there's a proper way to do it.
That's
and I
right.
think that's what you're saying here
Yes.
today.
Yes.
That, you know,
Yes, driving proper nutrition as you're dealing with a life-altering situation is so important. Ensuring that you get the nutrients that you need and might not be in the large quantity, but at least the quality is so important. And this is tasty. This is very simple, and I think you all want to taste with it. Let's all. Some of you gotta come on over here and
yes,
let's taste
we're
it.
going to come on over and tell us how it's tasted, how good it is,
This
how
is
good it is, right, Trisha? And
Oh, the milk that I use is oat milk. I use oat milk because I didn't want, I didn't know who would have allergies to nut milks.
Okay.
So, so oat milk is kind of safe.
Can you use any kind of milk?
Yes, you can use any kind of milk you desire.
And spinach? Can you put
And
spinach
you
in
can,
there?
like I said, you can add veggies. You can have a veggie smoothie, a green smoothie. You can add any fruit you like, take out what you don't like. So it's really based on what you like or desire.
If you want a little
And-
bit sweeter, can you add like dates to it as well?
Yes, you can add dates if you're diabetic. In addition to having your life-threatening situation, you might not want to use dates because dates are high glycemic.
all right, we're having a smoothie party here.
Yes, and you're all welcome to taste this. And as you support your loved one as they journey through, it's always good to have something healthy to share. So this is awesomeness. Really
All right,
nice.
and we are now going to transition back to the to another video. We have a video we're going to play for you. It's about 2-3 minutes long, and what it's going to do is share the resources we have on Cultivate Health Narratives. Our website is cultivatehealthnarratives.com. And so this video that we are about to play will show you the different resources we have and our mission and our vision as we go forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us at the table, taking care of your health and sharing in your story.
Have two couples who have volunteered to share briefly their experiences with cancer. And we know it's not easy to do this impromptu and to just stand before the camera and share. My good friends, Virgie and Lando Lachika, or we go way back. I was and still is. I have dual membership. You know, I am a member of Dallas Fort Worth Seventh-day Adventist Church, while I'm a Philam, and while I'm a member of the Mansfield Seventh-day Adventist Church. So I have dual membership. I just thought of that. I wonder if that's a good thing. So right, and so Virgie is a cancer survivor, and Lando, of course, their husband. How long have you been married? Yeah, you have to put the mic a little closer to your.
47 years.
Did you say 41, Lando?
Bargain.
All right, that was close. I don't think I would have been able to remember all of that, but that's a lot. 47
I have
years.
dementia.
Well, you know, and you've been through a lot. You've been through cancer. Virgie,
Cancer, then after hip replacement, then stroke twice.
right. The mic.
Stroke twice.
Did you hear that? Cancer, hip replacement, and stroke twice. Mm.
And I'm still here.
And you're looking good. You're looking good. It must be the rice.
I really did not. I don't think it bothered me with my cancer because, like I said, I was more worried with my daughter because she hated God because of the diagnosis. So I was more concerned for her. So I didn't have time to think about myself.
So
I did not lose appetite when doing chemo, but I wasn't even afraid. It didn't bother me.
you're a strong person.
I guess.
Lando, did it bother you?
No, it's her problem. But you know what?
No moral support.
I remember when I have my what do you call that? I was
Open
sleeping.
heart.
Open
I
heart
was
surgery.
sleeping about 5 o'clock in the morning. I have a heart attack.
Mm.
I thought I was bitten by a scorpion. So I went to work because I was alone. They were here. And then later on at work, I just. So I was taken to the hospital and I have my. The following day, I have my stent.
The stent, yeah. Now, what has taken you guys through all this? How old are you today? You've been married for 46. I know, do you mind sharing your age so the audience can get a better context?
75.
That's good enough. Lando, about,
I get chemo brain too.
yes. Are you around 50, Lando?
No,
He's 82.
She remembers his age and a little struggle with her age. It's funny. All right. Thank you for sharing. And my question was, what carried you through all this? Heart attack, hip replacement, chemo treatment, and all that, and stroke. And accident on the road. I remember that.
Right.
Yes. Mm.
I guess I must be strong.
Yeah.
After
Your faith?
it has something to do with faith because I trusted God.
Yeah.
He'll take care of me. So I didn't worry about it.
Well,
Yes,
how
it
long
is my
ago did
faith.
you have cancer? Can you remember that? What age?
2009.
2009. And today, can you help me with the math? 2009, that's 16 years ago?
Yes.
Yes. So you're a testament of health.
Stage 3.
Stage 3. And this was breast cancer?
Almost my
Oh, you did say.
lymph nodes were almost ready to burst.
Okay. Yeah. Any last comment for being a movie star today?
All I say is just be strong and have faith in God, I think.
Thank you, Virgin. Lando?
He's not ready for me.
my heart attack happens on June 20, 96.
Mm,
I remember that one.
right.
But still, I play.
I want to say that Lando
Tennis.
plays tennis every Sunday morning, and don't try him. Yes. And I think it's rice
I have more wins than.
because they love rice. The more wins. I say rice because they're Filipino and rice is a steak in their diet.
Oh,
All right.
I must say
Thank you for
something like
mushroom.
mushroom coffee helped me with my appetite.
Okay. Good medicine. Food is good medicine, right? All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Lando and Virgie, Jessica. They're good friends of mine, and I appreciate you being here today. Now we have another wonderful couple, Norman Gonzalez and Sonia Gonzalez. And thank you for volunteering to share today. Sonia says she's shy. I don't believe it. Yeah, very shy. Well, thank you for being here. All right. All right.
we're not naturally born speakers, but I trust, right? I told Sonia that Troy would lead you. Just trust in Troy.
You know, I want to say, if you go on our Health Stories podcast, cultivatenarratives.com, cultivatehealthnarratives.com, we just had an extended conversation with Norman, and he shared his journey with cancer. But we have a few minutes here to talk, Norman. And again, we thank you for being here. And again, it's a couple supporting each other along the road. Can you tell us of your diagnosis and what your situation is today?
Right now, I know, hearing the story of Tracia and Teresa, you know, you kind of gone through that peak already. We're about to hit it ourselves right now. Back in 2020, January 2020, there is a mass in my pelvic area, and I had that surgically removed and have it biopsied, and it was diagnosed with a very rare. I was even told that there's like maybe 300 to 400 cases of that type of cancer
All over the world.
all over the world yearly. And it's a very aggressive disease, very seldom studied. And so it's not like breast cancer, which is very, very, there's so much clinical trials and all that other stuff. And so I had it removed and surgically removed, and we had it biopsied. And in fact, specifically, I have this 3-syllable diagnosis, leiomyosarcoma, not 3, but 4.
4.
Yeah,
It's a big word.
leiomyosarcoma.
Yes.
And in fact, there's only 3 specialists over here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I fired, well, I can say I fired one of them, but I didn't, I agree with what he was saying, to start standard of care treatment right away. So I'm on the second one now. I have one more left there. So, so when the biopsy came in fact, they went back the second, after a month later, they have to reopen the incision again and make a good margin there on that. And so in the next 3 years, I am being monitored. There's no treatment at the time because I thought that, it was kind of a nip in the bud. And so there's no treatment that has been indicated except for monitoring. So every 6 months, I go to my oncologist and get the CT scan. And then last year, 2024,
Yes.
December, that was the supposedly my last visit, last scan. 3 years of that scan. Within the 3 years, there's nothing there. There's no, it's uneventful. So I was going about my life, and last year, the scan came back. I was supposed to shake my oncologist's hand and say bye-bye, right? Because, everything is good. And then the result just came back that there is 4.2 centimeters of mass on my left lower lung. And so I went for a biopsy after that. And in fact, they confirmed that as a leiomyosarcoma also, which is a very, very aggressive disease. And so now it's being considered as stage 4 since it has metastasis already. And so all this time, I actually, and I have to admire the story. And I'm getting this. I kept on asking God, what's the purpose of this? And listening to Teresa and Tracia also. And also with Troy's ministry, I'm finding that purpose now, telling your story and how it impact others also that could have gone through. And I'm finding that purpose and finding. I keep on finding the purpose. however difficult it is. And it's going to be more difficult as we get through this crucible that we are having right now. And the rest, Sonia is going to tell you also. By the way, I decline standard of care, not because I discourage anybody. I mean, you have to pray about it. You have to open the channel. You know, your intuition. Intuition for me is God's leading, right? If it feels right, then you do it. And with my kind of diagnosis, it's very resistant to chemo. I mean, so as of now, I'm living more on the quality of life more than the quantity of life I have. So thankfully, I don't have pain at this time. So I'm going to let you.
Okay, so I'm the caregiver, by the way. So since his diagnosis, last night was the first time I was just crying. I didn't, because I'm always busy, like Teresa. Very busy. I mean, I just get busy, so I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
I've been crying since last night until I got up from bed at 10 o'clock. I was just crying and crying and crying. And he said, "Will you come with me?" I said, "No, I don't want to go to this meeting." And I'm glad I'm here because I get to hear Tricia's story and Teresa's stories. So, and it's very difficult for a caregiver. I mean, I have to deal with this. And of course, last January, I had my mammogram.
It's a yearly.
And I was told I have. So I'm preparing for my my mastectomy this coming April 17th.
Did you hear that? So
it's-
she learned that she too
I think it's because of the
has cancer. She's saying it's perhaps because of the cancer. Yeah.
Maybe a contributory factor in there also could be, the stress as much as, the being the spoke of the wheel, so to speak.
Right.
And that's why the message really hit home, especially to
Right.
Sonia,
Teresa.
because I
right.
can see, Teresa, I can see that resiliency, both of you actually, and
Yeah.
picture of
I've
strength.
never, I haven't told a lot of people because I just, I mean, because I'm dealing with this.
It's we cannot imagine what you're going through, and I thank God for giving you the strength. You have been there for your husband all through these years, and Norman said that the stress has gotten to you, and for you to learn of this diagnosis, and there's no full answer out there for us. This program, Norman and Sonia, put forward faith, trust in God. There are cognitive therapy, psychological theories out there, but we believe that God is the mega story, the mega narrative of all our stories, and our stories are caught in His story, and He's carrying us through. And I believe personally that when we come to a place to understand that God sees, understands, and even experience it gives us comfort today and hope for tomorrow. Yeah. And I just want to thank you for sharing and being vulnerable. We plan to be there for you, and we have a support team that will be there to help along
We have
the way.
a lot of support.
You do, yes.
I mean, all over. I mean, they want to fly here, take, I mean, do support.
And I'll say that was it last week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Time goes by fast. There was a concert where individuals, friends and friends of friends came from all over this country and packed an auditorium. We had a good concert for Norman. They're celebrating
Yes.
life.
Yeah, I was really overwhelmed. I'm supposed to get up there after the end of the concert and say thanks to everybody,
Yeah.
but I was so overwhelmed
I was
with
told
the
there were
love,
350.
350
yeah,
people.
with
Yeah.
the love that is the outpouring of love, and that's the main reason. I mean, I refer that as the healing hormones.
Mm.
Much better than any medicine, any drugs out there that could be injected.
So
It boosts my immune system. I mean, the support system is so. Um, I get short of words sometimes when you
so just
describe
pray
that.
for
Yeah.
us because my worry now, because I can't take care of him.
Yeah.
That's my worry, but
Yeah.
I just have just pray
You
for
give
us.
your all.
Yeah.
And when you
Just
give
pray
our
for us.
all, the Lord
Mhm.
takes control. Yeah. You've given your all. And we thank you for sharing. I'm going to point the audience to the longer conversation we had, Norman, where they can watch your story. And Sonia, thank you for being here with us this evening and being vulnerable and for opening to the public. And Teresa and Trisha, thank you. This was our first live episode, and you have made it. You've done it, and to God be the glory. And we have many more sessions ahead. You will, to the online audience, all our resources are online. We're going to play that quick video again as we close out and give you a chance to see the resources we have on cultivatehealthnarratives.com. Thank you for being here with us this evening. We thank all our audience, live audience, for being with us, and those who are online. Again, visit our website and go to the notes for this broadcast. You'll find all the resources we have. We thank you for being with us today.